For more than a century, the field of behavioral science has been on this epic search, a quest for a single grand unifying theory that can explain, us, all the messy, complicated, wonderful stuff that is human behavior. Well, today we're going to dive into that search and a proposed answer that's been put right on the table.
Okay, let's just start right here because this is wild. These aren't insults from outsiders looking in. This is how the experts in the field describe their own work. They've known for a long time that without some kind of shared framework, the whole discipline is just fragmented. A bunch of brilliant ideas floating around, but nobody's speaking the same language. So yeah, this isn't some new debate. We're talking about a mission that's been going on for over 100 years, trying to bring some coherence to how we understand ourselves. It's a really noble quest, but as you're about to see, it's been an incredibly tough nut to crack. And this timeline really puts it into perspective, right? You see all these different schools of thought popping up, each adding another piece to the puzzle. But get this, in 1991, the National Institute of Mental Health got all the heavy hitters, the top minds, in a room for an entire week. Their one job, create a unified framework. I mean, this was a serious, all-hands-on-deck effort. And the outcome? No consensus. They just couldn't agree. It shows you just how deep this challenge really runs. Which, of course, leads to the big question. If everybody knows this is a problem, why has the field stayed in what some have called a state of comfortable incoherence? Why is it so hard to just get on the same page? Well, the reasons are complicated and very human. In academia, you're rewarded for specializing, for digging a deeper and deeper hole in one tiny area, not for building bridges between all the different holes. Grant money tends to follow that same pattern. And let's be real, if one single framework came along, it could threaten entire careers that were built on older, separate theories. It's a system that kind of protects itself. So into this whole century-old mess, a potential solution has been introduced. And this isn't just another theory. It's presented as a direct response to that long-standing cry from the field for unification, basically served up on a silver platter. This quote right here from the philosopher of science Karl Popper is really the key to the whole thing. The argument is that the way to unify everything isn't to make things more complicated, but to do the opposite, to strip everything down to its absolute essential parts. And that leads us to this core idea, elemental sufficiency. The best way to think about it is like the four corner pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. You absolutely need them to start, and you only need them. If you add a fifth corner piece, it's just confusing. If you take one away, the whole thing falls apart. So what are these four proposed corner pieces? According to the Unified Behavior Model, or UBM, there are just four. And here they are. First, you've got stories. That's all our thoughts, our beliefs, our cognition. Then environment, which is not just our physical surroundings, but our own bodies too. Third is behaviors, our actions, our habits, our skills. And finally, emotions, our feelings. The central idea here is that everything we do comes from the interplay of just these four things. And this is absolutely crucial. These aren't four separate boxes. They live inside this dynamic feedback loop called the behavior ecosystem. It's a constant dance. Your thoughts influence your emotions, which drive your behaviors, which then change your environment, which then feeds back and shapes your thoughts. It's all connected all the time. Okay, so a model is a cool idea, but for it to be actual science, it has to be able to face the ultimate test. You have to be able to challenge it, to try and break it. And that's the big question, right? How do you go from just a compelling idea to something that's a rigorous scientific framework? The answer comes down to this one word, another gem from Karl Popper, falsifiability. It's the gold standard. A theory is only scientific if you can think of a test that could, potentially, prove it wrong. If you can't test it, it's just a nice story. And this is where UBM really throws down the gauntlet. It's presented as the very first unified model that is also fully falsifiable. It's not just another proposal. It's an open invitation to the entire scientific community to come and try to break it. So the challenge is incredibly specific. The model says all human behavior boils down to those four elements. To prove it wrong, all you have to do is find a fifth irreducible element. That's it. And to show they're serious, the model's creators are literally putting their money where their mouth is. There's a cash prize on the table. It's their way of saying, no, really, please, take your best shot. And people have tried. One prominent scientist took up the challenge and proposed perception as a fifth element. But the UBM framework has an answer for that. It argues perception isn't fundamental. It emerges from the interaction between the environment, our body, and our cognition, or our stories about what we're seeing. So here we are. The model has been out there, downloaded over 1,100 times. A few solid swings have been taken at it, but so far, that four-element structure is still standing. And this brings us to a really fascinating point of tension. You can see the tension right here. On one side, you have the field asking, no, crying out for exactly this, a unified, elemental, falsifiable model for over 100 years. And on the other side, now that one has been presented, its proponents describe the reaction as, well, a stunned silence, systemic inertia. So the argument now is that the burden of proof has shifted. The model has been delivered. It's no longer on its creators to prove it right. It's on the scientific community that asked for this very thing to now engage with it, test it, and if they can, disprove it. The ball is officially in their court. This classic quote from Schopenhauer really seems to fit here. It basically describes the life cycle of any big new idea that challenges the way things are. It suggests that this kind of resistance, or even silence, might just be a natural part of the process. So why does any of this academic stuff matter to the rest of us? Because the potential here is enormous. A simple, unified model could totally democratize our understanding of our own behavior. It could become a basic life skill, the fourth R, right alongside reading, writing, and arithmetic, with that fourth R being behavior. See what they did there? It offers a common language for therapists, coaches, parents, for all of us, really. Which leaves us right here, with this final provocative thought. The scientific community made a request. A proposed answer that meets all their criteria is now on the table, waiting to be challenged. The question isn't if an answer is possible anymore. The question is, what happens next?